Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer because we're tackling the absolute biggest question local service businesses face today. What is the true cost of Google Local Services ads compared to traditional Google ads? Look, if you manage a local business, you've probably stared at those little green checkmark ads at the very top of the Google search results and thought, is this the ultimate magic bullet for my marketing budget? Well, today, we're going to tear into the exact numbers, look at the hidden mechanics behind the scenes, and cover some absolutely massive changes happening in 2026. This is going to help you figure out exactly where to put your money. So, you might have heard from various benchmark studies out there that a typical lead in 2026 runs somewhere between $39 and $80. For context, electrical services usually sit near the lower end, around $39, while things like roofing and restoration can easily soar well past $80 in highly competitive areas. But here is the thing, relying on these average numbers will totally derail your strategy. I mean, an average blends a plumber in a tiny quiet town of 20,000 people with a plumber in Los Angeles battling it out against 30 other verified businesses. Your actual number is going to vary wildly depending on competitor density, seasonality, and the specific type of job.
And that brings us to a core myth we really need to bust right out of the gate. Comparing local services ads to regular search campaigns using cost per lead alone is a fundamentally flawed comparison. So many business owners try to line up the price of a standard Google Ads click right next to the price of a local services lead just to see which one is cheaper. But as our source material makes super clear, doing that means you're making a comparison that just doesn't hold up in the real world.
Section 1. The Pricing Illusion. Let's break down exactly why this illusion exists in the first place, and why it ends up tricking so many smart business owners into making really bad budget decisions. There's this brilliant real-world example from a restaurant account that perfectly illustrates this whole apples to oranges trap. In a traditional search campaign, online ordering button clicks cost them under $8 each. But actual phone calls, those worked out to roughly $45. Now, if you compare an $8 button click on a website to a $55 direct phone call from a local services ad, you might look at that and wrongly conclude that search is, 7 times cheaper? But come on, an $8 click is literally just someone tapping a button. It is not a guaranteed customer. As the author so perfectly puts it, it's like comparing a cough to a diagnosis. The absolutely crucial point here is that local services ads only charge you for valid direct inbound leads. You are not paying for clicks or website views or random window shoppers. A traditional Google Ads conversion is just whatever you program the account to count. Maybe it's a form view, right? But a local services lead is a living, breathing person calling, messaging, or booking you right from the top of the search page. To make any kind of real comparison, you have to compare phone call to phone call or booked job to booked job. Section 2. How LSA actually works. Now that we've cleared that up, let's uncover the unique mechanics behind how local services ads actually bill you, because the budget logic here is entirely different from a normal Google Ads campaign. Okay, the budget math can honestly be a bit confusing at first glance. You set an average weekly budget, which is really just a target. Demand fluctuates, obviously, so some weeks you spend a little more, some weeks a little less. But Google uses this very specific formula. They multiply your weekly budget by 30.4 and then divide by 7 to create a strict monthly cap. So a $250 weekly target officially becomes a rock-solid $1,086 monthly cap. Once you hit that exact cap, your ads are done. They stop showing for the rest of the month. Now, when it comes to bidding inside that budget, you've got 3 options: maximize leads, target cost per lead, and max per lead. Interestingly enough, the source explicitly recommends sticking with maximize leads. That's going to get you the most volume for your budget against equivalent competitors. But the biggest takeaway here, you have to work backwards from your actual lead volume. If leads are $55 and you realistically only have the capacity to close 10 a week, then just budget for 10. Over budgeting for leads you can't actually service is going to cost you dearly, as we'll see in just a second. Section 3. The hidden trade-offs. Let's talk about what you are actually giving up when you choose that prime top-of-page placement. Because, let's be real, there is always a catch. The single biggest trade-off you make with LSA is that you're buying simplicity, but you are completely surrendering control over your keywords and landing pages directly to Google. In a standard search campaign, you can actually separate the desperate person searching emergency AC repair Burbank from the person casually asking, how much does a new AC unit cost? And you can totally refuse to pay the same price for both. Local services ads, they take that lever away entirely. There are no keywords to pick, there's no landing page to tweak, your ad is literally just your profile. And because you lack that keyword control, your profile quality basically dictates your auction rank. Google heavily weighs things like your star rating, your total review count, your average response time, photo quality, and your completed verification checks. Higher quality profiles rank higher, and get this, they might even pay lower costs per lead. This makes getting more Google reviews and fully optimizing your business profile an absolutely crucial cost control activity. It is not just a vanity project anymore. Okay, I want you to pay close attention to this because it's a truly surprising detail from the source. If you let calls go to voicemail, Google actively lowers your ranking. Yep, they explicitly note that missed calls negatively affect your responsiveness metric. A business that ignores the phone will straight up pay more per lead and they'll get fewer of them. Seriously, very few paid advertising channels punish operational sloppiness as directly and as immediately as local services ads do. So, what happens if you actually get a bad lead? Well, even though the lead dispute process is mostly automated now, with Google's models assessing leads and automatically issuing credits within 30 days for poor quality, you are still on the hook for a whole lot. Keep in mind, a customer calling just to compare prices, or someone calling outside your normal business hours, or even a customer who just never returns your call, Google considers all of those to be perfectly valid leads. And surprisingly, no, you are not getting a credit for them. That's your problem, not Google's. Section 4. Big changes in 2026. You absolutely need to know about two major shifts happening right now that most of the older guides and tutorials online totally miss. First up, if you use the Google Guarantee money-back guarantee as a sales pitch to win over customers, I have bad news. That is completely dead. Google is currently consolidating its badges into a single Google verified badge. The money-back guarantee is gone, and reimbursement requests only apply to services that were booked before December 7, 2025. So if that was your main differentiator to close sales, you're going to need a brand new pitch starting today. Second, local services ads are officially moving out of their isolated little dashboard and straight into the main Google Ads interface under Performance Max campaigns. Now, they are keeping the pay-per-lead model, which is great, but here is the critical red alert action item. Google states that local services ads' historical performance reports will not carry over. Seriously, if you are running these ads right now, go export or screenshot your historical data immediately before it disappears into the void forever. Section 5, the winning strategy. We've gone through the budget math and the big updates, so let's pull this all together into a clear winning strategy to help you choose the right platform. Local services ads are definitely your best bet to start if you meet a few very specific criteria. You have to be in a covered trade, you have to pass the background checks, which, by the way, takes real calendar time to get through, and you need a really strong review profile. But most importantly, it is only a winning strategy if you have the operational capacity to answer the phone immediately every single time it rings. If you can honestly do that, it's an incredible way to cap your downside risk without even needing a website. On the flip side, a properly structured Google Ads search campaign is way superior if your category isn't covered by LSA yet, or when you sell what we call considered services rather than urgent, emergency ones. If you really want to separate those urgent buyers from casual researchers, and you demand long-term keyword control to drive down your cost per lead over time, and hey, if you actually want to own the data and the customer relationship instead of just renting a spot from Google, then search is exactly where you belong. But hold on. Regardless of your choice, whether you go LSA, search, or ideally a smart mix of both funded separately, there is one absolute prerequisite here. The source makes this crystal clear. You are just guessing in the dark if you don't implement call tracking. If you don't know exactly which campaigns and which specific searches are producing the calls that turn into actual paying jobs, you literally cannot optimize your spend. You have to fix your measurement first, and then go buy the leads. I am going to leave you with this final brilliant thought from our source material. The cheapest lead is not the one with the lowest price tag. It is the one you answer. Honestly, your ultimate success on Google isn't about finding some magical, impossibly cheap click. It's entirely about your operational capacity to answer the call, optimize your profile, and actually close the deal. So the real question I have to ask you is this. If you turn on local services ads today, is your team actually ready to pick up the phone?